All right, everybody. On behalf of Trident Title, Performance Title, and Synergy Title, I want to welcome you to simplify every part of your business right now. And the side note is you can do it all for less than a pack of gum. We're going to dive in today. Some of you already have one of our apps. And just over the last couple of weeks, we have done a huge rollout on all these new features that really make your life much easier. And some of you might not even have the app yet. So I want to make sure you get that before the end of the day. And I really want to teach on some of these things, not just show you what the features do, but give you some real world examples of why you should be using these things every day. One of the things that still blows my mind is of all the stuff that we have, I think this app is probably one of the best resources because it's always at the palm of your hands, right? You'd always have it in your phone, or on your computer or on your tablet. You can have it on all three, which is kind of cool. And not enough people use it. And we'll get a lot of questions emailed or calls or people needing help with things that you can do in real time on your app. And it's not that we mind helping you, because obviously we don't mind doing that. But when you need an answer right away, a lot of times you can just do it in the app. So I wanted to make sure we covered a lot of this stuff today and make sure you guys are up to speed. So we just did really a quick little intro. I'm going to talk about the 4 things that you should be using this app to simplify your business, and then we're going to walk through it. So I have my phone ready to go, and I'm going to share it to you right from my phone, and then we'll review how you can actually get the app, and then we will do a little summary. And if you have any questions or anything, we will do that. So let's dive in. I'm not going to do a huge intro on me. I don't think there's anybody on the call that I don't know. So if you really need a bio, let me know and I'll send it to you. But let's dive in. So 4 aspects of business that every agent really needs to simplify in order to be successful. Let's just take some guesses. I'm curious what people think. So I listed out 4 of them, but I'm curious what you guys think. Write in the chat what you think one of, or even all 4 of the different aspects that people have to simplify to be more successful, to make more money, to do more deals. What do you guys think? 4 aspects of your real estate business that every agent needs to simplify in order to be successful. Just throw some of them in the chat. So we got leads, we got communication, we got social, we got listings, we got communication, we got tech, we got follow-up, contracts, to-do lists, keeping track. Good, we're all on the right page. So I'm going to give you my 4, and we'll kind of go from there. So number 1 is lead generation. At the end of the day, if we don't have leads, we don't have anything. And if we don't have leads, we really don't have a business. And if we don't have leads, we don't have a pipeline. And if we don't have any leads, we don't ever eventually get paid. So lead generation is, of course, number 1. I know we have people on this call from all different brokerages, from all different skill and experience levels. We have people that have been in the business for, I know a couple of you have only been in for a couple of weeks, couple months. And then we have some people that have been in the business for, 20 plus years. Some people that have been in mortgage, some people that have been in title, some people that have been in real estate. For anything sales related, if we can't simplify lead generation, we're not going to make the amount of money we want to make. And for every person on this call, that number is different, right? The number of leads you need to do your business and to make the amount of money you want might be different. And that's okay. Whatever that number is cool. But we're going to talk about some ways to simplify lead generation today using this app. We do have 2 versions. There's a free version and a paid version. The paid version is a whole 99 cents a month. And if you pay for it all at once, it's a whopping $10. And that opens up some more lead gen things. But what I want you guys to think of, the reason I put this number 1 is because if we don't have leads first, we have nothing to market to. It doesn't matter what our website looks like. It doesn't matter how pretty our business card is. If we don't have leads, we really don't have much of anything. So number 1 is lead generation. So I saw a bunch of you wrote that in the chat, correct. Number 2, I went with marketing. And the reason I'm saying simplify marketing is because one thing that I find that agents do is they disproportionately spend their time on marketing compared to other things like lead generation and actually working their client. So probably at least once a week, somebody says, oh, I've been spending 12 hours on this flyer. I've spent 3 days trying to design this email, or 2 days working on my social media. And that's great. And those are things that, if they're important to you, I can understand that. But we want to look for ways to simplify that, where we can just get something out very quickly, with 1 or 2 clicks or 1 or 2 touches, and be able to market to people that we have and people that we don't have yet, just to be able to stay in touch. If every week you have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours coming up with marketing, that's taking you away from money-making activities, which are generating leads and servicing those leads. So spending tons of time on marketing is not always what we want to do. We want to simplify that. So we're going to talk about that today. Number 3, working with buyers. And this is something that we need to simplify by knowing what they can afford, where they can go, when they can do it, how quickly they can get there. We need to figure out how we simplify our process and give the buyers the best chance to succeed. Because right now, if you are working with buyers, if you're working with buyers and you've lost a deal or you've lost a transaction or you've gotten beat out in a multiple offer situation, just put yes or me or I in the chat. I would imagine that almost everybody in here has had a rough one in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, because working with buyers lately has been really, really difficult. If you don't know, there's little to no inventory out there. The rates are fantastic. So everybody that was on the fence about buying is off the fence, but there's just not enough houses to sell them. And we have people on here in all different markets, some even in different states, that it's the same across the board. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're at. But we're struggling working with buyers, and we need to be able to capture those correct buyers, simplify that process a little bit, and really set them up for success. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then last but not least, number 4, working with sellers. Right now, if you're a listing agent or you're working with sellers, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself a paycheck. If you put up a listing, within 45 days, you're getting paid. It's a great time to be a listing agent right now. However, we do still need to simplify the process. We need to simplify our presentation with them. And just the nuts and bolts. How much money are they going to make? What are they going to clear? What happens if this happens? What happens if an iBuyer comes in and offers me on day 1, 90-something% of list price, and I don't have to deal with agents, and I don't have to deal with showings, and I don't have to clean, and I don't have to leave on the weekends, and I don't need to take all my dogs and cats to the park when people are showing. So we need to learn how to simplify that process. So I want to work on that. So how do we do that? I'm going to show you via a screen share. So I'm going to break these slides, and then I'm going to try and share my phone. So give me 1 second to just switch the share and make sure this works. And then I'm going to ask you guys just to verify that you can see my phone on the screen. Let's see. All right. If you can see a iPhone background with a hammerhead shark on it, say I or say yes, or put a thumbs up in the chat or do something so I know you guys can see. Cool. All right. So we're going to dive into our app. And again, if you don't have this already or you don't know it, we'll talk about it. But I want to make sure we hit on a lot of new features today, as well as features just for people that haven't seen it. So if you've been with us for a while, or if you have used our app in the past, there's some things that have stayed the same, but we'll cover those a little bit today. But I really want to talk about new stuff, because that's what these last couple of updates have been. So when we just spoke about the 4 things that we need to simplify, number 1 was lead generation. And I really want to dive into that first and show you guys a handful of different strategies and different things that you could do within like 90 seconds to generate new leads that you should be doing all the time, not just when I do an app class once a quarter and we think it's a good idea. This should be something that's time blocked in your schedule every day to make a post using something like this app, or to send out a calculator or an infographic to make things easier. And when I see this app taught, or when I see people using it, a lot of times, we learn the features and the function, and that's great. So if we have a buyer and we want to calculate how much it's going to cost them to close, great. We're going to do that today too. So you'll learn how to do that. But I want you to think, when you don't have business, what can we do to generate business? So let's talk lead generation first. So a couple of different things come up that I like to use for lead generation. And I'm going to go right down the tabs in the bottom of the app, because there's 4 of them. There's buyer, there's seller, there's calculators, and there's premium. And all 4 of them can be used for lead generation, not just the premium one. So if you're on the free version of the app, you'll have everything but premium. If you're on the paid version or you want to upgrade to that, you can get access to the premium ones as well. But first, I want to think for buyers. So a lot of you, when I just asked that question a couple minutes ago, said that you're working with buyers, or you have been working with buyers, and maybe we're struggling with them. One of the things that I like to do is, for those of you that do open houses, whether they're virtual or digital, I want you to think of setting a buyer up for success with what it's actually going to take them to close, because a lot of times buyers don't know that. And there's even lenders out there that are just trying to get them, to that next step, because they know, a purchasing of a home is an emotional thing. And if they think, the buyer thinks it's only going to cost them 3.5% or 5%, and then we get to the closing table, or they get into the loan and all of a sudden they have to come up with an extra 2 or 3% to make the deal work. Most of the time they find a way to do it. But if we're upfront with that, it's going to make your life a lot simpler working with them. So when we're trying to generate leads on a bunch of different spots, we're going to look at buyers, sellers, all these calculators, and premium. So an example for the buyer piece of this is, let's just say you're sitting at an open house and it is 123 Main Street, whatever, and the home price is, let's say, 300,000. So we're going to put in 300,000 in there. And you can make a couple of these for all different kinds of loans, which is what I would suggest doing. But let's say that's a house that would qualify for FHA. So maybe it's a single family. Maybe there's not a lot of, I don't know, maybe there's not a lot of different condo associations in there or issues or anything like that. So it's something that we definitely think can qualify for an HOA. So we look at this and we say, okay, the home price is going to be 300,000. Down payment 3.5%. That's pretty standard for a FHA buyer, right? Sometimes they'll do more, but 3.5 is the minimum. The interest rate, this updates all the time. So whatever it might be, just kind of leave that in there. Hazard insurance, this is just a guess, right? Usually it's about 1.5% of the actual sales price. Could be more, could be less. If you know the number on that exact house, great. Real estate taxes. If you know the exact taxes on the house because you're sitting in the open house, switch it over to the dollar symbol and just throw that in there. So let's just say on a $300,000 house, maybe it's $4,000 because the people have owned it for a bit. There's no HOA and we have a closing date. It wouldn't be today, right? We're going to think, when, if we did an open house today, when would the closing date be? Maybe it would be the first week of March. So we'll put that in there. When we hit compute, it's going to give us all these great numbers. What does the monthly payment look like? What do they have to bring to close? What do the loan details look like? So how much are they going to pay? All this fun stuff. And what I want you guys to think of, a lot of people just use this tool when they actually have the buyer. But if we go to some of these like smart compare things, I love this one because it shows you a bunch of different things. It gives them the option of, maybe they're doing FHA, maybe they're thinking about conventional, or maybe they're thinking about doing a 15-year to try to pay less interest. We can use a piece like this instead of being with a real buyer to generate leads. We can say, what if you're a buyer out there looking for a $300,000 house, here's the one for you. And then on the top right, where we see that little square with the little arrow kind of going upwards out of it, if we touch that, we will be able to generate a nice little piece of marketing. So I'm on the test account, so I don't have a picture or anything in here, but all of this would have your picture, your logo, your team logo, and you can generate a piece that we can use for lead generation. So that's an example of it on the buyer side. Then if we switch over to the seller side, I want to do something simple but similar to that as well. So let's say we have a seller that we're working with, or maybe we're farming a neighborhood, or we want to farm a neighborhood, or we have a lead on a potential seller lead, or maybe even we have a buyer that's looking in a certain neighborhood that we know is, let's just say, roughly 300,000. So let's just put in 300,000. And we're just assuming a loan that the seller has. This is a guess. So maybe it's a conventional loan. We'll put in some guess for repairs, meaning the house isn't going to be perfect, so they have to spend a little money to maybe fix up something, the AC or the hot water heater or whatever. 6% because we want to get full commission, right? The real estate taxes we'll just leave in there as a guess. Their loan balance, let's just say maybe they owe 150,000, whatever. We can compute a piece here that will give us marketing as well. So we can say to sellers or potential sellers, hey, look, we have a buyer looking to buy in your neighborhood at $300,000. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, invest, anything like that? And we have the ability to send out reports that are branded. I don't have the internet on, but you'll be able to see what it looks like. We'll be able to create lead forms and different lead flyers to send to all different sellers that might be potential sellers, showing them what they could net if they sold their house to our buyer. So those are two options in the buyer seller lead generation categories. But what I really want to show you, the ones that I really like, all live in the calculators and in the premium features. So if we go to calculators, we have all these different calculators that we really use just strictly for lead generation, to simplify lead generation like we've been talking about. So all these different calculators are things that you can post onto social media. You can text to your clients. You can email to your clients. You can share them in all different ways, or you can just save them on your phone if you want to work back on them. So one of the ones that we mentioned before, the iBuyer comparison. If we go and we click on there, it helps us help our sellers understand if they're going to sell with a realtor. Maybe we're going for a listing appointment. They say, well, we heard Zillow was buying houses. We're just going to sell the house to Zillow. It's going to help you understand and help you kind of pitch them onto why to work with a realtor, not to just take whatever they offer. So what it'll ask you for one of these calculators is to help compare what happens to sell with an iBuyer versus a realtor. So we're going to make some guesses here. So we would say, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, what do you guys owe on the house? Let's just say they say 150,000. Great. And what's your interest rate? And the reason why this is important, because we're calculating the net based on every single day what they're paying, what their rate is determines that. So what's your rate? Great. It's 3.875%. And what are your taxes? And we're going to ask them what their taxes are. We can look those up. So maybe they're 4,500, whatever. Then we're going to hit the next button and we're going to say, okay, let's think about this. If we're going to sell with a realtor, what do we think the house is worth? This is where your knowledge as a realtor comes in. So you're looking at the comps, the market, and figuring out what you can do or what you can sell this thing for. So maybe we're going to put it at 350 is what you think the market value is. Now you want to get your 6%. You're guessing repairs because you haven't walked the house yet. You don't know. You know, there's always something in a house that can get repaired. It's always good to have a number in there, something in there, assuming that, you know, the buyer's going to ask for some money. Then we think of, okay, what's going to happen if we sell to an iBuyer? Their general model, and this is why up front it looks like a good deal, is they say, okay, based on what we think of the market price, we're going to offer 94% of that. So when you really think about that, all it's doing is cutting out the commission, right? It's really not that much of a big difference, but that's what they start with on their model. And when sellers hear this, this is why they capture sellers all the time. Because when sellers hear this, they think, well, the realtor wants 6%. I could sell to them and have no problems and have no showings and not have to clean and sell it as is and be out on my own timeline. The problem is the other two fees that they don't tell you about. So the average right now for an iBuyer is that their service fee for all the things that they do for the seller, which is nothing, by the way, the average right now is 7.1%. And then they still do an inspection period, just like a normal buyer would. Even though they say, oh, it's going to be a cash deal, they still do an inspection all the time. And every single time they come back with something on that. It's just an opportunity for them to get more money back. So now let's think about this, right? They've offered 94%. So we're already 6% low. Then with all the fees, that's another 7%. So we're at about 13%. Then some sort of a repair offering, 1, 2, sometimes 3%. So we're less the market price, like somewhere between 10 and 15%. Their pitch is that they're going to close faster, right? So with a retail buyer, you see our closing date is going to be more towards the end of March. Maybe it's mid-March at this point, but that's being safe. Their pitch is, oh, if you're in a no HOA home, you know, we're going to do title right away and it's going to be all cash, no contingencies, so we can close and get you out of here next week. And when we hit the compare button, it shows what they're going to net, and it puts these things side by side. So if they work with a realtor, that's the blue column. If they work with an iBuyer, that's the orange column or the orange parts. And you can see what those nets look like. And this is big to be able to put to our sellers. So you can advertise to sellers that are in popular iBuyer areas, which right now are the no HOA single family home, usually lower than average price point. So right now, like downtown Lake Worth is getting eaten up by iBuyers. So this would be a great marketing piece to put together to get out to them, to generate some leads for sellers that we know if we put a sign in the ground, put it on the MLS, we're going to sell it pretty darn close to top dollar pretty quickly, and we're going to help them. We're going to net them some more money. So a calculator like this, when you create it, you can go and see what a full report looks like of this. The app puts it together, makes it look really nice, just like that. You saw how quick that was one click right there. So basically what they're trying to show is the cost of convenience. If you see on the bottom, it's 26 grand. So the script is, you know, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Seller, would you rather conveniently sell your house for 26,000 less, or would you rather keep 26,000 net in your pocket when we get you a higher price? And
I'm sorry, that click was the square with the arrow?
correct. Yep. The
Okay.
square with the arrow on the top right.
Gotcha.
And again, I'm off the internet here, but it'll generate full report.
Perfect.
And then you can send this out right away. So that's one example of a lead generation calculator in here. Now there's tons of them in here. I want to get through a lot of stuff in this call, so I'm not going to go through every one. But there's multiple offers. Monthly affordability is a great one for people that are thinking of if they're going to rent or if they're going to buy. when we use a calculator like affordability, it works backwards to help people figure out what they can afford. So if they say, you know, I'm working with, you know, they're a buyer and they're working with you as a client, and they say, you know, I'm really only comfortable spending $1,500. I know the mortgage guy said I could qualify for, you know, XYZ dollars, but I'm really only comfortable spending $1,500 a month. So we get to work backwards and help them figure out what they can afford. So we're looking at houses based on what their payment they want to be, so that we actually have a chance of selling them something. So we say, okay, desired payment, $1,500. Interest rate, we ask whatever our mortgage partner is on this deal, hey, what do you think the rate they're going to get is? And they can usually tell you like within an eighth, that if they lock today or in the next couple of days, we're going to get this. Term, are they doing 30 years? What are they doing? Taxes, what town do they want to live in is basically how you work this out, because you can go in here and pick the towns and it'll show you their tax rate. So what do you think the tax rate is? Just look at whatever town it is that your buyer wants to buy in. So I'm in West Palm right now. Insurance, what's a guess? We always leave that at 1.5%. And then HOA, do they want HOA or not? When we hit compute, we can say, okay, they're buying power for what they want to do, the payment that they want, the house that they want, in the town that they want. Their buying power really is 280. So if maybe our mortgage partner initially pre-approved them for 350, but they're telling you, look, I'm not buying something that's over a $1,500 payment. We can do this and work backwards and be able to use this. And same, we can hit the little square in the top right, create a full report, and then have the ability to send this thing out where it actually looks nice instead of just being, you know, numbers typed into an email to generate leads with people that we're working with. So that's another great example of a calculator. The rent versus buy one I love. This is when you have people that are stuck on the fence and they're saying, well, I'm sick of looking, you know, I'd rather just rent. This will show them essentially that renting is not the greatest financial decision. Sell to net. So if I sell for X dollars, what do I net? What if we get 5,000 more? What if we get 5,000 less? What happens? Refi. Anybody that you're working with a refi. The extra payment calculators, if they calculate in, okay, they're going to add $50 to their payment every month, it'll show them how much money they save in interest and how much quicker they get the loan done. Multiple offers. So if you're working with a seller and they get multiple offers, they can use the multiple offer or the compare tool. So all these great tools are great for the lead generation part that we're talking about, as well as in the premium tab, which is the little star in the bottom. We're going to spend a little bit of time in here talking about some different things. At the very top of this now, we have this whole featured section that will show you what's going on, what the new stuff is. So every month, we're building out new content and releasing all of these different filters and calculators and all this fun stuff. As we scroll down a little bit more, hang on, my internet's off. Let me try and get you guys internet back and see if that helps. Let me refresh and see if that will help. There we go. So when we go back and we look, we have the ability to see all the stuff that is new. So every month we have new stuff coming out for you. There's a monthly infographic. There's a monthly filter for camera, for video, all these things. We'll talk about this in the marketing piece. But what I want to talk about, one more thing in the lead gen part, is the lead gen calculators. So we had some in the free version that we just talked about, and there's 21 or 22 of them now in the premium tab as well. And when we click on one of these, let's just take this one, this upsizing one is new. So let me try and connect back to the internet again. And we will see. So this one just came out. So this is a cool one. What you would do is you can actually post this directly to Facebook, and it's like a lead form, just like an ad would be, where you don't have to pay for it though. It's once you have premium, you can post unlimited of these for free. So what happens is the potential buyer sees this on Facebook. They're scrolling down, or they're on your business page, or maybe you send it to them through Instagram. They see this and maybe they're thinking about upsizing. So they click it. When they touch on it, it takes them to the next piece that says, okay, what do you think your home is worth? So they have to sell a home because they're upsizing, right? So maybe it's worth 300,000. Then they say, okay, great. They hit next. So this is not you as the realtor doing it. This is your client doing it, and you're capturing this information. How much do you still owe on the home? I don't know, 125,000. Great. If you sell your house at 300, roughly, with the loan and the balance and all that stuff, you'll net about 150 grand. Great. Now, how much of that do you want to use to buy another house? So maybe they want to pay off credit cards. Maybe they want to put their kid through college, go on a vacation, buy a Mercedes, whatever. But they say, well, if we got that much, or we want to take 50,000 and put that towards the next house, they can then see, great. If they move up and they want to buy a different house, here's some options of what they can do. They can put these things down to be able to upsize. So there's all these great lead gen calculators in here. There's if they have to sell to buy something. There are more rent versus buy ones. There's a whole bunch of different ones, refi ones. There's different net sheet ones, different monthly payment calculators. So there's tons of them in here that you guys can use to generate leads. So this is kind of the first piece of what you want to simplify is your lead gen. There's enough in here that you guys could go and post one of these a day, every single day, and you would get through the whole month without doubling up on anything. Now, this is just the lead gen side. So we kind of talked about that first.
Brian, quick question.
Yep.
Are you capturing their contact information when you're doing that on
Yep.
Facebook?
Yep.
Okay.
They have to put it in to complete the calculator.
Okay.
All right, next. So next we said we want to simplify marketing, right? So there's a lot of other great marketing things on this piece. We kind of talked about how to do that on the buyer and the seller tab. Some of the great marketing stuff in here that you could simplify. I'm going to go through them and show you all the different ones. So one option is the infographics. There's new ones of these added every week, and there's already a bunch in there as well. So when you click on infographics, you're going to see a lot of fun different things. A standard one is essentially a piece of paper sized PDF that you can put anywhere. You could put it into an email. You know, if you have an email blaster, you can use that. You can send it as a text message. I'm just going to click on the first one just so you can see one. This is if I pay extra towards the principal, do I get to save more money? So this could be something that you send to your database or maybe send to people that you've sold a house to in the past. So that's one option. Let's check.
I'm sorry, Ryan, how did you get to that? Under what tab?
It's under premium and it's under
It is. Okay.
infographics. Yep.
Okay.
How to prepare for a bidding war. So if you're working with buyers, this could just say you have a bunch of buyer leads all in one spot. You could send this to all your buyer leads. So this is going to cover your marketing every day. There's a piece of something. There's an infographic that you can use every single day. I'm just going to click through a handful of them so you can see. And again, these are all on that, like what we'd call standard size. So essentially a piece of paper size. You can customize these. You can edit. All of your contact information is on here. So you can see there's a whole bunch of them. Tons and tons of different options there. So a marketing piece for every day. If you went on this app once a day, picked one of these and sent it out, blasted it out, put it on social, did an email blast, whatever it is that you want to do or however it is that you want to use it, you could do one a day again and be covered for the whole month. Then if you scroll down, there's pre-made Facebook posts for you. There's pre-made Instagram stories for you. And I'll scroll through them. What's cool with these is, let's just pick this stop renting one. They're actually already created with multiple swipes as well. So one of the things that Facebook knows, or that the Facebook algorithm looks for, is do you have multiple things on one post? And if you do, where you can swipe through and actually click on all the different options, let me load this one up again, you'll see that when they post, the potential buyer, the potential renter, the person that's thinking about this one buying or selling or renting, there's 7 different versions of this post. So you can just post one, or what most people do is they post all of them where they're scrollable. So you can say, okay, stop renting, it's time to buy. Every time you rent versus every time you pay a mortgage. There's all these different posts that are just pre-created for you that you can post right up, and then they're branded to you all the way at the end. So there's tons of these. Again, every week there's new ones of these coming out. I'm just scrolling through some of them so you can see that are all pre-made for you. So all of your marketing needs are covered for that. If we scroll down to Instagram story, so this is vertical, it's sized appropriately to be able to use on Instagram. And then if we scroll down some more, Instagram posts. So if you use Instagram, it's square. If you ever try to take a picture or a screenshot of something and use it on Instagram, it doesn't always look great because it cuts off a piece. So there's a bunch of Instagram posts pre-made for you. Scroll down some more and you get Facebook stories, all pre-made for you. So all those things are in the help simplify some of your marketing. Another great thing we have now is lenses. We've had these before. If you've been with us for a while using this app, they're now on video as well. So you can use one of these lenses. If I click it, it will pull up my camera. And if I take a picture, it will have that lens on it. So when I use that lens, here's a Valentine's Day one. If I use this lens, when I take this picture to post, it will be wrapped around the picture. We now have this where we can do on video as well. So if I switch over to video, I can do the same thing, and I could film a video with this lens on. So I could pick any of these lenses and it will do the video with that lens on the entire time. So there's a lot of great marketing stuff on here. There's new ones on here. Once a month, they update new ones, and there are literally hundreds of them that have been on. So if any of these, if you're looking for some easy marketing, it doesn't really get much simpler than this. I'm just flipping through with my finger all of these different ones. There's tons and tons of them. I'm not going to go through all of them because we'll be here all day, but there are tons and tons and tons and tons of them. So you can use all of those. We also now have created personalized branding videos that are included in premium. They're all a little less than 30 seconds. Let me see if I can do a preview of one for you. No, multiple shares will work good. I don't think we can hear it, but so there's all these different videos that are created for you. So that would all be branded to you there at the end, and you can just share this post as your own, download this video, and you can take it. There's a handful of them now, 5 or 6, I think. And again, new ones of these coming every month. So if you need marketing, if you want to simplify your marketing adventures, this is the way to go. We've covered some lead gen stuff, and we've covered some marketing stuff. So I just want to do a quick kind of recap on the buyer and seller part. We talked about buyer and seller, and then I will stay on for questions. So with buyer and seller, the original function of this app, when we started rolling this out, it's got to be 5 or 6 years ago now, was really just to help you calculate closing costs on the spot and be able to give your client on the buyer side.
Hey, Ryan, your volume went way down, buddy. Your volume's way down.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. So originally, the reason that we created this app was just to be able to help you guys get instant quotes and be able to show right away that you have the ability to calculate how much your buyer's payment would be, how much their closing costs would be, and also to calculate for your sellers how much they're going to net. So at the heart of this app, that is still the functionality that people use the most. But when we added the marketing and the lead gen stuff, we want to give you guys those options to be able to use that as well. So I just want to dive quickly into the buyer and seller one a little bit in depth so you can see that, and then I'll stay on at the end for questions. So I'm going to start with buyer. We did this before, really. It's the same kind of thing that we were working on before. Let me get back out just to the estimate part. Okay. And what you're always trying to do with the buyers, whenever you have a buyer, you want to know roughly what their payment is going to be and how much money that they're going to actually have to bring to get this thing done. So we always have the ability to edit all of these different things. If it's FHA, conventional, VA, cash, whatever it is that they're doing, we're going to pick that one. So we're going to pick that first, whatever kind of loan it is. We're going to put in what that home price is. So 300,000. Maybe they are putting down, let's just say they have 35,000 that they want to put down. We're going to put that in. We're going to put a rough guess at whatever their interest rate is. Then we are going to do their term. So are they doing a 30-year or a 15-year? Miscellaneous could be, is there some kind of a credit? Are you as a realtor giving them a credit? Are they getting a gift? Any of those like kind of odd things that happen sometimes in a transaction. Hazard insurance is their homeowner's insurance. Real estate taxes, we know that. HOA, this is a popular spot that people kind of get sideways on, is annual or monthly. So the A is annual, meaning if you know the HOA is $1,200 a year, we can put that in. Please make sure you're correct on this annual or monthly, because if you have $1,200 in there monthly, the payment is going to be skewed like crazy. So make sure you know, okay, whatever the payment is, let's say it's monthly 120, and then a rough guess at closing. We'll put that in there. And then when we hit compute, we'll get a nice breakdown. So when you look at this, we can hit detailed closing costs and see all of the breakdown of where all the fees go, what they are specifically, or we can just look at the simple view, which is these graphs. So on the left, monthly payment, P&I is principal and interest. So how much are they paying in principal and interest in the payment? How much of the payment is taxes? How much of the payment is for insurance? If they put less than 20% down, they're going to be forced to get PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. So how much is that going to be? And then what the HOA is, so they can see what the breakdown is. And then the bring to close, okay, down payment, they said they're going to put 35,000 down. Prepaids, those are like, usually it's a year of insurance up front. It might be a couple months of HOA, maybe a payment or two, anything like that, that are all kind of included in that payment. So you can do the smart compare tool across the top and say, okay, if you guys decided to do FHA instead, or maybe put less money down or switch to FHA, they can do that, or switch to 15-year, they can do that. And then we can look at the loan details. These are not always fun to see, right? But you see how on each payment, how much you pay is principal and how much of it is interest. So the whole amortization schedule is in there. And you can send any of these things to your clients by hitting the square on the top right, and it will generate something that looks nice and gives you the option on how you want to share them out. So all of these things are done on the buyer side. When I switch over to the seller side, it's going to look very similar, but the seller side is all about the net. It's not necessarily what they're going to bring to close. It's what they're going to walk away from at closing. How much are they going to actually take and put in their pocket? So when we customize this or edit any of this, same thing, we're going to do sales price, whatever it is, whatever type of loan they have, whatever your commission is. Repairs is anything they're anticipating in inspection. Miscellaneous could be, maybe they're giving a $500 bonus if you close on a certain time, or an extra $1,000 for the carpet, or paying off the assessment to the HOA because they still owe $2,000 on the seawall, or whatever it is. Whatever their taxes are, be as accurate on this as possible because it will help the prorations a lot. So if you know that their taxes are, I don't know, whatever, $3,000 a year, let's put that in. Their loan balance, we'll help with that on the title side. We'll get those things ordered and figured out. But if they say, well, I owe, right around 150, it's going to make it close to them as if you just have no idea. Whatever their interest rate is, whatever the closing date is, and reissue rate is if they bought and sold that property, or like if it was a flip, or if they bought it within the last 3 years, they actually get a little bit of a credit back towards their title costs, because we don't have to search back as far and do as much work on that. So they get a little bit of a credit. And then when we hit compute, same thing, it'll spit out a little graph that says net to close, and it will show them all the breakdown. So the balance is the balance of their loan. Prorated tax owed, that is for every day that they're in the property, they have to credit the buyer for those taxes, because in Florida, the taxes are paid in the rear, so at the back of the year. So in this case, if the seller lived in the property till March, they owe right around a third of the property taxes for the year. So they actually credit that to the buyer. So when the buyer goes to pay their taxes, they get that little bit of a credit. And then the closing costs, it doesn't break them down here. And there is a reason for that, because a lot of people balk at seeing the commission. So if you want to see the commission, they can hit detailed closing costs, and it will break it down and go through that. So owner's title policy is basically an algorithm for a number based off of the sale price of the house. Closing fee is what charged to get it closed. The search fee is for liens and all that fun stuff. Estoppel fee is if there is an HOA. If you don't know what the estoppel is, essentially it's if there's an HOA, the HOA has to kind of clear you to sell the house, saying you don't owe any money, or there's no violations or fines or anything like that outstanding. Doc stamps is 70 cents per $100 of the sale of a property for all property in Florida. City lien search. Repairs are the guests that we put in there for the repair amount. The interest is how much of the loan interest they're paying for the days that they weren't there. And then the broker fees are the commissions. So when you do this, same thing, you can show this in a couple different ways. You can put in a multiple offer calculator. So you can say, let's say we had one offer at 300, one at 290, one at 305, and show all the different nets. You can do a holding cost. I really like this one. So if any of you ever work with those tough sellers, that are trying to squeeze out the extra, you know, $1,000 or $500 here. And instead I'm willing to hold it. I'm not going to sell it for this price. You can use this to show them what it costs them to hold the property every month. So like, let's say in this first example, the 3-month example, if they hold the property and they don't sell every 3 months, you know, they're losing $3,117. So when they're not taking the buyer's offer and they're $1,000 off, you know, it's actually costing them money. So this kind of shows that. You can edit all those. You can even do it in days, which is cool. So if you want to show them, hey, every 30 days you hold the property, every 60 days to show the property, you hold the property, how much it costs you. And then you can send these things out again. You hit the square on the top right. It generates a report that looks nice. Each one of these screens that we just went through has a marketing piece tied to it that it generates. And then you can send this out and you can just say, look, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know you're really firm about that price, but just remember that, you know, if us not taking this deal today now extends your closing by another 30 days, you know, we're fighting over a $500 credit on the inspection here, but that's going to cost you $1,039 extra. So, you know, let's do the right thing, sell it here, get the house sold and move on. So all of these.
Brian, which calculator is this in?
This is in Seller.
Seller. Okay.
Yeah. So all of these will have different marketing pieces associated with them. This is the net one. Let it create this one. I'll show you this one. And you can see all these different templates that you can pick. So if you like the look of one over the other one, you can send it like that. But maybe you want one that has, I don't know, more to look at on it and more stuff. So you could pick this one instead. There's a whole bunch of different templates that you can go through and select for each one of these things. So if you like a certain look, you can. And then you can customize. So one of the things that we didn't talk about yet is languages. All these different languages: English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, Korean, Polish, Russian, Arabic, Portuguese, Hindi, and Punjabi. You can send it in all those. You can edit your profile. So again, I'm on my test account, but you can edit everything to show, you know, who you are, your logo, your team logo, your brokerage logo, all that fun stuff. And you can even edit in property details. So if you want to create a cool marketing piece with one of these, you could put the client's name in there. You could put a picture of the front of the house or a picture of the pool. You can sign it. You can put off a video for the property. There's a lot of great pieces in here that you can add on. So let me break this share real quick and go back on to finish up slides. So basically the 4 things that we covered here with the app are how to simplify using this app every day, simplifying your business to be able to do better with lead generation, to be able to do better with marketing, to be able to do better working with buyers, and to be able to do better working with sellers. So if you want the app, whoever got you onto the call or whoever connected you to me for these calls is the person that can get you on the app. So if you came on because of Gab Bryce, Dave Ward, Tracy Sender, or Melissa Kidwell, get in touch with them right after this call and they'll be able to hook you up. If you came on from me or for me, let me know after and we'll be able to get you on the app if you don't already have it. We do not make money on the premium, just so you know, but legally the CFPB tells us that if we are helping realtors with marketing, we have to charge them. And the minimum you're allowed to charge in the app stores is 99 cents a month, which is why it is 99 cents a month. And it's also discounted if you buy a year of it. It's $10 for the year. So you essentially get 2 free months. So it is not a profit center for us. It's just something that we have to do to stay compliant. So that is why we do it. You can do that and then use the app, you know, as much or as little as you want. And if you have troubles with it, I usually do some kind of an app class like once a quarter. And there are updates monthly to it. So kind of stay tuned because they're adding and enhancing different graphics, different lead gen calculators, different infographics, different lenses all the time. There's always lenses for different holidays, different seasons, different things that are going on in the world. You know, they always have some. So those of you that had it last year, one of the things they did like right away was lenses and infographics for virtual appointments and virtual open houses and all that stuff. That was pretty cool that people still use. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. In summary, use the app, right? Use this to simplify things for you. I see a handful of you guys that use this app pretty regularly, and I get the notifications and I see it on social media, but it's probably like 1% of the people that actually attend the classes. So, you know, all of you guys that are struggling with marketing or content or don't know what to post, or, you know, that's a constant battle for you, just go on the app once a day, time block 5 minutes, pick the infographic that you like that day, or the lens that you like that day, or the calculator you like that day, and post one up. And then when you're out in the field, use the buyer and seller calculators to be able to get, you know, pretty darn accurate quotes within 30 seconds or so when you use it. Don't go out in the field and for the first time try this on a client. You know, try it on yourself, try the calculators on yourself, try to generate seller closing costs for if you sold your own house, try to imagine you're buying a house and test it out that way, and give yourself a chance so that you can kind of practice with this and use it at a high level before you get it in the hands of some customers. And definitely get those lead generation calculators out there, because it's a great way to capture leads, even if you didn't, you know, expect to capture something from that person. So if you want the replay, the recording of this will be done somewhere tonight. You know, I start the recording whenever it's done, and then by the time Zoom kicks it back to me, sometimes it's a couple hours, and then we upload it. So I'll have it up sometime tonight. So if you want that, or if you need to get on the app, if you don't have it, I will put my email in the chat, and you guys can reach out for the replay or help getting on the apps. If you need that, it's in the chat. If there's anything that we can do to earn your business, let us know at either Performance Trident or Synergy. Thank you guys. I know there's a handful of you that are already sending us stuff, so we appreciate that. And if you're not yet and there's something that we can do to earn the business, please let me know. Kara, thanks for the slides. As always, everything always looks good. Coming up Thursday at 4, we have Better Call Paul with our attorney, Paul Krasker. That is going to be on his buyer representation program. So this is if you're working with a buyer and they want to be represented by an attorney, which happens a lot with higher net worth. And also if they're just not comfortable with the contract, or maybe it's an investment, Paul does that, and he kind of explains what he does. I still actually use Paul for that on every purchase of my own personally for investments and stuff. And every single time we buy a house or a property or anything, Paul catches something that would have cost me money. So if you're not using that, I would definitely at least give it as an option to your clients. And if you want to come and learn about that, jump on that call. It is not mandatory. You don't pay anything. You know, it's totally up to you. If you want to do it, you can do it. And then next Monday, 1 week from today, I'm doing a class called The Truth Behind Lead Conversion. I'm actually building a new class. This will be a 100% new course that I wanted to build. And if you guys want to come and jump on, we're going to talk about strategies to convert leads in 2021, what it takes to convert leads nowadays. So if you guys want to be a part of that, please jump on. Anybody that is saying in the chat, so just so you guys know, the chat deletes when I get off here. So if you want the replay, you have to email me and ask for it, because as soon as I end out of this, it's gone. So if you want that, I put my email in the chat. I'll put it in there again. You have to email me there for it. And again, if you came on or you work with Dave Ward, Gab Bryce, Tracy Sender, Melissa Kidwell, reach out to them too. They will have it as well. As soon as I have it, they get it, you know, a couple minutes after. So thank you guys. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll hang out for questions if you need anything, but thank you guys, and I will see you soon.